to the Pakistani side, noting the response is now under review. He added that Tehran's plan is exclusively focused on ending the war, stressing no nuclear negotiation at this stage. Al Jazeera earlier reported that Iran's plan contains 3 main stages, including a 30-day phase aimed at turning the ceasefire into a complete end to the war. Key points include the withdrawal of U.S. forces from Iran's periphery and an end to the naval blockade. The second phase will discuss the total cessation of uranium enrichment over a period of up to 15 years. Isan Kivani has more from Yat in Iran.
Both sides say the ball is in the other's court. In its latest response delivered through Pakistani mediator, Iran states that primary focus for Tehran is bringing an end to the war. The main point of contention between Iran and the U.S. appears to be nuclear enrichment, specifically Iran's stockpile of over 400 kilograms of 60% enriched uranium, a red line Tehran shows no willingness to cross. This stance has only hardened, specifically after the second round of talks in Islamabad was called off for a variety of reasons. Iran has since issued strongly worded warnings. Iran declares it will not give in to American aggressions and attaches no importance to U.S. threats. Meanwhile, the IRGC has warned that if Iran is attacked again, it will target key oil and gas facilities across Arab countries in the Persian Gulf in a manner that would effectively halt their crude export. For now, Tehran says it will maintain control of the Strait of Hormuz, considering it as a kind of winning card.
Our correspondent Jeff Moody explains Tehran and Washington's contrasting views on ending the war.
The United States peace proposal suggests a 2-month ceasefire, but Iran's plan pushes back hard. End the war in 30 days, it says. Tehran is adamant that negotiations focus on the termination of the war rather than extending the ceasefire. And it believes this is achievable in just 1 month. Well, Iran wants a guarantee against any future military aggression and is demanding US forces withdraw from Iran's periphery. The message is simple: America has no business in the Middle East. Iran's call for the return of its assets is something that's hugely important to Tehran. It's not known exactly how much Iranian money is tied up in foreign banks, but it's thought to be around $100 billion. Well, releasing frozen assets is a complicated business. It doesn't happen overnight, but it's thought that Tehran wants at least $6 billion released immediately to prove that Washington is serious. What would make that easier would be the lifting of sanctions, some of which have been in place since 1979. Well, as you'd expect, the Strait of Hormuz features heavily in this proposal. Iran is calling for an end to the naval blockade and has suggested a new mechanism for the Strait of Hormuz. Well, details of exactly what that new mechanism might mean are still emerging. Now, Iran's peace proposal goes beyond Iran itself. It's calling for the cessation of hostilities in Lebanon, something that isn't likely to be acceptable to Israel. And it has one final request that will be very hard for the US to swallow: reparations. Iran is calling for the United States to pay for the damage it's done to the country's infrastructure, its buildings, its roads, its bridges, which could run into millions of dollars. Washington is unlikely to consider this seriously. In fact, it's highly likely to reject the whole proposal. President Trump has said he's looking at it, but he believes Iran hasn't been punished enough for what he says they've done to humanity and to the world. Well, Trump says Washington has all the cards in this peace process. Tehran's proposal suggests it believes it has some cards too. Both sides have now shown their hands to Pakistani mediators. Two very different ideas of what peace might look like. A peace that is far from guaranteed.
Pakistani Foreign Minister Mohammad Ishaq Dar has held a phone call with his Iranian counterpart Saeed Abbas Araghchi to discuss the situation in the region. They exchanged views and discussed Pakistan's mediation efforts for talks between Tehran and Washington. Araghchi expressed appreciation for Pakistan's constructive role and sincere efforts. Dar reaffirmed Pakistan's commitment to facilitating constructive engagement. He stressed that dialogue and diplomacy are the only viable path towards peaceful resolution and lasting peace in the region. Israel has issued new evacuation orders in southern Lebanon, including areas beyond its occupation. Residents from 11 towns and villages from the border region are being forced to move at least 1 kilometer from their homes. The IDF has been accused of reportedly violating the ceasefire. Jonathan Rigev reports from Tel Aviv.
Just about 15 minutes ago, there was another siren in northern communities, probably due to a drone fired from Lebanon, which crossed into Israeli territory. It comes on the back of the evacuation orders for 11 villages, most of them also north of the Litani River, meaning this is not an area where the ground forces are operating, but Israel suspects that this is the area where Hezbollah launches its drones from, and therefore Israel is planning to act over there. The terms of a possible ceasefire between Iran and the United States, one of them being a cessation of hostilities in Lebanon. For the moment, it's not even close to that. There are hostilities at all times on both sides of the border. It is true that they are usually contained to a certain area, not too far from the border itself, or not too far inside Lebanon from the area where the Israeli forces are operating. But inside those areas, it is complete war. Constant sirens on the Israeli side, constant strikes on the Lebanese side. I can tell you that there's a major feast, a traditional feast that's held every year at this time, and it was planned for tomorrow evening in Israel, but not far from the Lebanese border. That feast has now been cancelled due to the concern that the presence of thousands of people at the same place would be a trap for Hezbollah drones. So hostilities continuing at all times. Cessation of hostilities, at least for the moment, is nowhere to be seen.
And turning to the U.S., at least 10 people have been hospitalized following a shooting at Lake Arcadia near Oklahoma City. Local police say they received multiple reports of shots being fired at a party at around 9 p.m. local time. Authorities are also expecting the number of victims to rise while an investigation is underway. It's now 6 months until midterm congressional elections in the U.S. Now, while many voters already know how they plan to vote, others are weighing a host of issues as they make up their minds. CGTN's Hendrik Sibrandi reports.
You are not welcome here.
America's sometimes in-your-face style of politics showed up the other day on this college campus. At Metropolitan State University of Denver, a local chapter of the conservative nonprofit Turning Point USA was berated for setting up shop here.
In my opinion, our campus is exercising our right to not allow people who we don't agree with on our campus.
Just because you don't agree with somebody's opinion doesn't give you the right to silence them. You have some people just calling people fascists. Nothing is getting done right now.
For many on both sides of the political spectrum, the stakes in this country and in this year's midterm congressional elections feel higher than ever.
I would say it's pretty polarized right now and torn. And I think that's another important issue too, is how can we come back together to agree on things. But I think it's not a good climate right now.
Many voters have made up their minds on how they plan to vote in November. But even if they haven't, everyone is evaluating their choices through the lens of their top issues. Get out of here! Like, for example, the Trump administration's immigration crackdown.
There are absolutely better ways to do that. Doesn't have to be what it is.
Like the inflation, it's getting really bad. Like, in my opinion, like there's lots of things happening that are kind of unnecessary and we're kind of paying the price for it. It's really hard for a lot of people to survive right now.
I think like the housing crisis is a big issue, and people who like just homelessness in general.
Polls show the Democratic Party is in the driver's seat when it comes to the midterm elections. A new Emerson College survey shows Democrats have a 10 percentage point lead over Republicans on a generic congressional ballot, a gain of 3 points over last month.
The motion is adopted.
Congressional midterms in the U.S. are often a referendum on the party in power, in this case the Republicans. And some think those in charge now have leaned too heavily on distractions rather than what affects them most.
I don't know, I just feel like it's got people's minds wrapped up on things that are like shouldn't be important to them, like things that they shouldn't deal with and things that the people in office should be dealing with.
Some experts believe the war in Iran and how it's felt in people's pocketbooks will tell the tale in November.
I think those are two big factors. What is the sort of general state of the economy, as well as, yes, what are the impacts of the war?
Midterm elections, when the presidency is not on the ballot, often see many voters stay on the sidelines. This year, with passions swirling, may well be different. Hendrik Sabrandi, CGTN, Denver.
And that is it for this edition of The World Today. I'll be back shortly with more news from the continent in Africa Live. Thanks for watching.
Holding guns. Words protesters.
Were you worried about your life at that particular time? Not at all.
Excellency, thank you very much for your time. What is your assessment of the state of the continent today?
Africa has the potential to power itself.
Excuse me.
Death toll from floods and landslides in Kenya rises to at least 18 as heavy rains continue. WHO confirms 3 deaths from hantavirus on a cruise ship in the Atlantic. And Nigeria summoned South African envoy over recent attacks on immigrants in South Africa. I'm Beatrice Marshall in Nairobi. Welcome to Africa Live. Also ahead on the program, African countries look to boost exports and incomes amid China's zero tariff policy. And Botswana's team shines at the historic 2026 World Athletics Relays in front of home fans. We begin in Kenya, where police say the death toll from flooding and landslides triggered by heavy rains has risen to 18. Landslides have been reported in 3 counties as persistent downpours continue to batter larger parts of the country. Police warn the rising death toll underscores the dangers posed by the ongoing weather conditions, which have also damaged infrastructure and replaced residents. Kenya is currently in the peak of March to May rainy season, with forecasts indicating continued heavy rainfall in the coming days. Nigeria has summoned South Africa's acting High Commissioner over recent attacks on foreigners in the Southern African nation. According to a Foreign Ministry statement, Nigeria would formally convey its profound concern at a meeting on Monday over documented instances of mistreatment of Nigerian citizens and attacks on their businesses. South Africa has in recent days seen anti-immigration protests with reported incidents of harassment and attacks against foreign nationals. At least 2 Nigerians and 4 Ethiopians have been killed, according to local media. South Africa has long been a destination for both legal and undocumented African workers. South African President Cyril Ramaphosa condemned the attacks, but also cautioned foreigners to respect local laws. 3 people have died from a hantavirus outbreak on a cruise ship in the Atlantic Ocean. The World Health Organization says a total of 6 individuals were affected, adding that 1 is currently in intensive care in South Africa. Investigations are ongoing, including further lab tests. The vessel, operated by a Dutch company, left Argentina 3 weeks ago and was heading to the Canary Islands, but is currently sitting off the coast of Cape Verde in West Africa. The hantavirus is a rare disease linked to infected rodent droppings or urine that can cause life-threatening respiratory problems. Let's turn to the Democratic Republic of Congo, where several dozen people have been reported kidnapped in Ituri province. Traditional authorities say numerous residents of Lisoma in the Mambasa territory have been missing since Friday, when the incident occurred. The Allied Democratic Forces, an armed group affiliated with the Islamic State, is suspected of carrying out the attack. The UN and civil society have reported more than 400 kidnappings in Ituri since the start of the year. However, in mid-April, a military offensive led by the army and its Ugandan allies resulted in the liberation of nearly 200 hostages held by the ADF. Military sources suggest the group is using the abductions as forced recruitment, but researchers say it also has an economic purpose, as kidnappers have been demanding ransoms from victims' families. In Sudan, the Rapid Support Forces is being accused of targeting the Kinana industrial complex in White Nile State. Sources told the Sudan Tribune that the strike caused significant damage to vital facilities, including the ethanol plant and fuel depots. It comes amid an intensified aerial campaign by the RSF, which started last week. The paramilitaries have targeted areas held by Sudan's army, which has been fighting the RSF since April 2023. The conflict has devastated large parts of the country, with approximately 9 million people internally displaced. Meanwhile, Sudan's manufacturing industry is making a slow recovery in more stable areas of the country, like the capital, Khartoum. The focus is on restoring crucial sectors such as food processing, textiles and building materials. However, as CGTN Baranga reports, major hurdles remain for factories fighting to exist.
Atef Abdel Kader at his steel factory in Khartoum, refurbished after years of war, brought manufacturing to almost a complete standstill in Sudan. The factory resumed operations a week ago with an initial production capacity of 7,000 tons per month, with plans to increase it to 12,000 tons.
We completely renovated the machinery, and thanks to God we have returned better than we were before the war. And we have increased production capacity by 40%.
Kader, who is also a member of the Federation of Chambers of Industry, estimates that only 10% factories have resumed activity. He says the slow return of factories to production is a worrying indicator, despite the presence of resilience within the sector.
I send a message to all businessmen, my brothers, come and reopen your factories and endure the hardships. The country is promising, the markets are open, and Sudan needs factories now.
Data from the Ministry of Industry indicates that about 1,800 facilities were damaged, including 650 factories that were completely destroyed in the conflict.
The war's impact on the industrial sector was immense due to fires, shelling and widespread looting that damaged production lines and machinery in factories.
The Federation of Chambers of Industry estimates the sector's losses at between $50 and $58 billion. Factories face a number of challenges in rebuilding, including extensive damage to equipment, difficulties in importing parts, as well as high fees of storage at ports and scarcity of raw materials.
The greatest damage came to the factories because Sudan does not produce machinery or spare parts. Everything comes from abroad. Imagine small machines with minor malfunctions require ordering spare parts from abroad and waiting 7 to 9 months.
While industrial activity in 2026 has shown signs of recovery, the sector's ability to do so remains heavily dependent on major reconstruction efforts and ultimately the restoration of peace. Sharon Baranga, CGTN.
A search is ongoing for 2 U.S. soldiers who went missing while taking part in a military exercise in southern Morocco. Morocco's army says the servicemen went missing on Saturday evening near a cliff at the Cap Dra training area. Participating forces immediately launched search and rescue operations involving ground, air and maritime assets. U.S. Africa Command says investigations are ongoing. The ongoing military exercise, which began late last month in the city of Agadir, brings together nearly 5,000 military personnel from more than 40 countries. Senegal says it is ready to support Mali in efforts to restore peace and stability following recent insurgent attacks in the neighboring country. This comes as the Malian military says more than 200 suspected militants have been killed in targeted airstrikes carried out by the country's armed forces on Friday. According to the report, the strikes hit a large insurgent column which had crossed from a neighboring border area and was believed to be preparing fresh attacks. Meanwhile, authorities have launched an investigation into soldiers suspected of involvement in last week's coordinated assault on military bases by Al-Qaeda's affiliates in West Africa and separatist rebels. A military prosecutor in Bamako says those under scrutiny include active duty and former officers. Our correspondent Mamadou Tapeli has more from Bamako.
Of course, since the attack of the 25th, army is patrolling all the regions of the country, mainly in the north, and where in Gossi, the region of Gossi, they have neutralized tens of terrorists, and also destroyed large amounts of munitions of the terrorists, which is a statement released by the General Army Staff. And also in Kenyeba, after the attack in Kenyeba, they have neutralized a large column of terrorists trying to head in the south part of Bamako, of the capital. So the patrol and including airstrikes is still on, and the country is in really a big alert. So they are patrolling everywhere, targeting the terrorists, targeting the insurgents everywhere where they can hide, they can be hidden. So the soldiers are really on stand to bring the peace, the security, to bring the security back in the country. With the investigations of the justice court, military courts, which after just the attack have started arresting some suspicious people and arresting, including some militaries, retired and on services. And the most important and most frustrating part of it also is these politicians, which has been alleged to be involved in some of the operations that had occurred in the 25th. Mainly the guy of the named Umar Mariko, who was a deputy, very well known in the country, defending the democracy, and is really an opponent against many of the governments. So he has been shown just before the attack, negotiating with the GNM groups to liberate the Malian soldiers, which today Malian soldiers have considered as a distraction so that the operation can work. And he's also involved, accused by the government, alleged to be involved in the operation that happens the 25th.
Now let's take you to China's Guizhou province, where rugged mountains rise to meet soaring bridges and ancient villages sit perched seemingly on the edge of the world. Every step here reveals a story of resilience and connection. Take a look.
Guizhou is famous for its dramatic karst landscape. The peaks that you're seeing behind me, rising one after the other, it's beautiful, absolutely breathtaking even, but it was once really challenging for those who lived here. As seen in the film Kylie Blues, travel once meant long and winding mountain roads. But today, with bridges like these, natural barriers have turned into pathways. Nearly half of the world's 100 tallest bridges are in Guizhou, and these engineering marvels have transformed daily life. The highest is Huajian Canyon Bridge, the tallest in the world, with an official height of 626 meters. In some parts of Guizhou, the rugged terrain is not a limitation. Instead, it's an advantage. And nowhere is that more the case than here, the location of the world's biggest single-dish radio telescope, also known as FAST. The natural karst depressions, underground drainage systems, and low population density make Guizhou an ideal site for deep space observation. In the area around the facility, there's no phone signal. Only silence and the sound of the universe. So far, FAST has discovered more than 1,000 stars, a source of great pride for the scientists. And that same spirit of perseverance can also be found much closer to the ground. The buildings behind me are hundreds of years old. This Miao village dates back almost 1,000 years, and it's distinctly known for building homes on really steep slopes. But the question is, why do people decide to live on these sharp inclines as opposed to flat ground? To find out more, I spoke with an expert from the local Miao ethnic group.
好的，好的，谢谢，谢谢，谢谢。苗家的吊脚楼是依山而建。
Built into the mountainside, these Miao stilt houses reflect a way of life shaped by the terrain. There's so little flat land that it's all dedicated to farming, and homes are built along the slopes, partly elevated, partly anchored into the hill. We call them Jiao Jiao Lu. It's a practical solution to the limited space where architecture is necessity meets.
This landscape may feel familiar to some. Scenes shot here in Qianhu have appeared in films like My People, My Homeland, which depict stories of rural life in real villages like this one. Now, building such a home may be beyond me, but there's another tradition I can try. Oh wow, this is so cool. Oh wow, this is so nice. Can you teach me? Yes. My coach today is Li Wenfang, an intangible cultural heritage artisan of the Miao batik art form. Having spent decades devoted to the art, she believes a work of batik art is about more than just technique. It contains stories, patience, and a legacy to be passed on.
我们这个蜡染是有蜡的，就是有上这个蜡，
This form of batik uses wax to help create the pattern. What's covered stays white, while the rest is dyed with indigo. It's a craft that's been handed down for over 1,900 years. In my family, we're now into the 5th generation. Many of our patterns feature butterflies. It's a symbol of the Miao people, connecting us to our ancestors.
After a quick Miao Batik 101, I gave it a try myself. From sketching patterns to dyeing and drying, it turns out it's a lot harder than it looks. But hey, not bad for a first attempt. So it's dried a bit more now, and it's so pretty. I literally can't stop looking at it, my own little creation. About 150 kilometers from Tianhu can be found another tradition. Once a military stronghold, Genuine today feels more like poetry expressed in architecture. And for the time being, it's all about song. Sanya-san is livelier here than even the Spring Festival. But it's not about the food. Instead, it's about finding love, and some singing is involved. Here's how it works. If you like someone, you sing to them. And if they like you back and they sing back to you, well, that's where the story begins. What if you don't like the person back? Moments like these feel like they're straight out of a film. Stories of young love unfolding through song were captured in The Spring of My Life, filmed right here in Genuine. Before I accidentally start a love story I didn't sign up for, I turned to a local expert to explain the history of the festival.
The Sanyu San Festival honors an ancient love story between Liang Yin and Qiao Sheng, two people who fell in love despite family opposition to the match. Their story ended in tragedy, but today it lives on as a symbol of devotion.
For generations, these songs have carried meaning deeply rooted in tradition. From bridges to telescope, mountain villages to ancient songs, Guizhou tells a story of resilience and imagination, of a place where the past and the future move in quiet harmony. Ida Waringa, CGTN.
Well, let's now take a look at your business news. Here's what's ahead. African countries look to boost exports and incomes amid China's new zero-tariff policy. And Egypt raises natural gas prices for energy-intensive industries in response to soaring global energy costs.
You don't find the stories of North Africa by sitting on the sidelines. You've got to get out, go there, and you'll find them. In the bazaars of Casablanca. Among the crowds in Cairo.
Who come to visit Cairo, the ancient capital of Egypt.
Along the waters of the Nile. Along the sands of the Sahara. No one else will take you where we can in North Africa. No one else will show you what it's all about. CGTN, see the difference.
China's zero-tariff policy for 53 African countries with diplomatic ties looks set to redefine economies of scale thousands of miles away from its major ports. One example is Morocco, whose argan oil industry is expected to get a major and timely boost. CGTN's Adnan Chauchi has more.
In the arid mountains of southern Morocco, farmers harvest argan oil,
The argan tree, which bears small green fruit resembling an olive, is common. It's a natural product they have long used in cooking, but which has become highly prized by the global beauty industry as an anti-aging skin treatment and restorative for hair. The oil, among the most expensive in the world, is extracted by drying argan fruit in the sun, peeling and mashing it, then crushing and grinding the kernel with stones.
Demand for argan oil is rising, both for food and beauty products. We produce it using a mix of traditional methods and modern electric extraction machines.
Exporters say quality remains a key strength, helping Moroccan argan oil secure loyal customers across global markets. With China's tariff policy expected to lower entry costs, traders are now anticipating stronger and more consistent demand flows.
The argan tree is more than an ecosystem. It's both a natural buffer and the driver of economic resilience. From climate change to prolonged drought and water scarcity, it has shown remarkable strength. Now a key shift is emerging through its growing partnership with China. Adjusted tariff policies could unlock new export opportunities, boosting the sector while generating shared economic benefits for both sides.
Most argan oil is produced by local cooperatives of Amazigh-speaking Berber women around the cities of Agadir, Essaouira and Taroudant. Here, production blends tradition with modern efficiency.
Despite climate challenges, argan oil has preserved its quality. Customer loyalty remains strong, with repeat buyers returning regularly, both in the domestic market and the export markets.
But the export boom is also putting pressure on the argan ecosystem. Years of drought, water scarcity and overgrazing have already contributed to the decline of what was once a 14,000 square kilometer forest.
Surging exports of argan oil, fueled by demand from China's cosmetics sector, are increasing pressure on this vital resource. That makes conservation efforts more urgent, alongside targeted government policies. Authorities are now looking to expand argan cultivation, including plans to plant 10 hectares in southern regions as part of the Argan and Oasis program, aimed at safeguarding the sector's long-term sustainability.
Morocco is the only commercial-scale argan oil producing country in the world, controlling more than 90% of the global supply. The argan oil market in Morocco is expected to reach a projected revenue of $212.2 million by 2033. A compound annual growth rate of 11.4% is expected of Morocco argan oil market from 2026 to 2033, according to industry data. As China's zero tariff policy takes effect, Morocco's argan market is set to benefit on account of rising consumer preference for natural ingredients. This expanding global opportunity also calls for the urgent need for stakeholders to protect a fragile natural resource that underpins both livelihoods and ecosystems. Hadan Shawashi, CGTN.
Traders in Cameroon are looking forward to boosting exports and incomes after China's zero-tariff policy took effect on May the 1st. Removing tariffs lowers the cost of products entering the Chinese market, improving their competitiveness. In Cameroon, the landmark policy is seen as an opportunity to strengthen the manufacturing sector and export finished products rather than only supplying raw materials. CGTN's Caroline B. reports.
This year marks the 70th anniversary of diplomatic ties between China and Africa, a partnership that is set to strengthen with China's zero-tariff policy covering 53 African countries with diplomatic relations with China. In Cameroon, one entrepreneur says the policy means a wider market and reduced trade barriers for his business, which deals in a wide range of products, including timber, one of Cameroon's major exports.
Cameroonian importers and businessmen are ready to export to China in order to benefit from the complete exemption of export taxes. We have 5 products to export: wood, which I process through my own company; cocoa, which is widely consumed in China; coffee, vegetable oil, and minerals such as gold and cobalt. I advise Cameroonians to process their product before exporting it, because if they sell it raw, they will not have brought any added value.
While trade experts laud the zero-tariff policy that removes financial barriers, they also advise that for Cameroonian products to successfully compete with other African products and sustain presence in the Chinese market, exports must meet strict quality requirements and less bureaucratic delays.
If we have been able to produce goods that meet European standards through cooperation agreements with the European Union, it will certainly not be possible with China, which is a complex country in every respect. Cameroon has to compete with other African countries which are better organized economically and socially.
African exports face high tariffs, strict standards, and complicated procedures in penetrating the global market. Trade experts say China's zero-tariff policy for African countries will now ease those barriers. In 2025, China-Africa trade grew by 17.7% year-on-year to reach $348 billion, while Africa's exports to China exceeded $123 billion. And with the zero-tariff policy now having taken effect, countries like Cameroon are looking at further export growth. Caroline B., CGTN.
Meanwhile, Nigerian Foreign Minister Ojukwu noted that the zero-tariff policy will not only profoundly improve the lives of African people, but also effectively activate intra-African trade potential and cultural exchange. This, in turn, will inject strong momentum into the process of African economic integration and industrialization.
I think it's going to have a very significant effect, not only in the economic relations between China and its partner countries. I think to a large extent, going by the global dynamics, it's also going to have a significant impact on foreign direct investment, and of course it will enhance trading relations between China and the rest of its partners. I think to a large extent also within Africa itself, it's going to act as a great catalyst for improving trade, for enhancing the economic relations, and also for industrialization. 75% of our population is under the age of 45. And of course, we also have a huge population. So this will have a great impact on the lives and the livelihoods of our peoples.
Iran has raised natural gas prices for several energy-intensive industries as of May the 1st. A prime ministerial decree published on Sunday indicates that domestic gas prices are up by an average of $2, reaching $14 per million British thermal units for cement factories. Iron and steel factories, non-nitrogen fertilizers and petrochemicals will pay $7.75, while plants producing ethane and propane mixtures will pay between $6.50 and $6.75. The government raised domestic fuel prices by up to 17% in March in response to soaring global energy costs. It is also seeking to reduce fuel and electricity subsidies under an $8 billion program with the International Monetary Fund. Iran's military has warned U.S. forces not to enter the Strait of Hormuz after President Donald Trump said the U.S. would start guiding stranded ships out of the Persian Gulf. Trump gave few details of the plan to aid ships and their crews that have been locked up in the vital waterway as a result of the U.S.-Israeli war on Iran. Hundreds of ships and as many as 20,000 seafarers have been unable to transit the strait for over 2 months and are said to be running low on food and other supplies. The U.S. Central Command said it would support the effort with 15,000 military personnel, more than 100 land and sea-based aircraft and warships and drones. Soon after Trump's comments, the UK Maritime Trade Operations Agency said a tanker had reportedly been hit by unknown projectiles in the strait. The agency said all crew were reported safe. Iran has closed nearly all shipping from the Gulf, apart from its own and friendly countries, sending energy prices soaring. The United Arab Emirates' decision to exit OPEC and OPEC Plus is not directed against anyone, but is meant to serve national interests. This is according to the Minister of Industry and CEO of the Abu Dhabi National Oil Company, Sultan Al Jaber. He told the Make It in the Emirates conference that the move would give the UAE greater ability to accelerate investment, expand and create value, while remaining a trusted and responsible partner in global energy markets. The oil-rich country left the group on May the 1st, widening a rift with its neighbor Saudi Arabia. Al-Jaber also called on the private industrial sector and the UAE sovereign wealth funds to make bold decisions despite the US-Israeli war with Iran, saying the UAE had shown resilience and stood firm against Iranian attacks.
The United Arab Emirates' sovereign decision to reposition itself within the global energy system and to exit from OPEC and OPEC Plus is not directed against anyone. This is a strategic and studied decision that reflects our capabilities and our confidence in our ability to build a more diversified economy and our ambition for a better future. This decision serves our national interests and long-term strategic goals, aligns with our industrial, economic and developmental aspirations, and empowers us to accelerate our investment, expand and create value. We clearly affirm that UAE will remain a trusted and responsible partner in global energy markets and will continue to support their stability from a more flexible position.
Let's now take a look at your sports news. Here's what's ahead. Botswana shine at the historic 2026 World Athletics Relays in front of home fans. We begin with the World Athletics Relays, which was held in Africa for the first time. Botswana left home fans with memories to last a lifetime with the historic men's 4x400 meters victory in Gaborone on Sunday. Running the final event of the day, the quartet of Lee Epi, Letsile Teboho, Bayapo Ndori and Colin Kebinashipi did not disappoint as they ran a championship record of 2 minutes 54.47 seconds. While champion Kebinashipi broke free in the final 100 meters to finish ahead of South Africa's Zakithi Nene, who had to settle for silver, while Australia got the bronze. Earlier on, South Africa almost topped the podium in the men's 4x100 meters after Akani Simbine shot off in the anchor leg, but they finished with a silver and an African record of 37.49 seconds. The US got the gold and Germany closed the podium places with the bronze. Meanwhile, Africa's fastest man, Kenyan Ferdinand Omanyala, looks like he's returning to his impressive form of old ahead of a possible title defense at the Commonwealth Games this July in Scotland. Omanyala opened his 2026 by winning the Addis Ababa Grand Prix in 9.98 seconds on April the 18th. A week later, he lined up in front of his adoring home crowd to reclaim the Kipkeino Classic title in 9.96 seconds. And at the Botswana Golden Grand Prix, despite losing, he managed to run his third successive sub-10 seconds 100-meter sprint in a row. Before this season, his last sub-10 second sprint came way back in August 2024 when he ran 9.88 seconds in Poland. Earlier, our anchor Richard Ntar spent time with Omanyala in Nairobi and now brings us this interview.
So last season wasn't what you expected it to be. To that you say what?
The season didn't go as well. Of course, the 2025 season was one of my worst seasons because I never ran a sub-10 and got an injury along the way. But I'm a very positive person in life as an athlete and as a person individually. I'm a person who never loses. I either win or learn. So out of that season, I learned a lot of lessons. I picked up a lot of lessons, and I'm just coming back stronger. And for the fact that I got motivated even more because it got to a point where I thought I was given, but I earned it. So I need just to put in a lot of work, and I need to work so hard so that I don't get into a race and not run the way I'm supposed to run. So that's why now I got the motivation to now just push myself.
And the magic question is, what are you doing to ensure that next season is going to be super successful?
It's about hard work. It's about putting in the hours, and it's about pushing myself to the next level and, just getting through that pain threshold. So that's what we're doing right now, and we're building up steadily, no rush, and more time to even train in the preseason. So that's the thing that we're focusing more on. And for now, it's, of course, the goals have been set, and we really want to achieve the goals. So it's a day at a time, and just making sure that today is better than I was yesterday, like the training sessions are done completely in 100%.
Have you ever considered using an international elite trainer?
No, I've never thought, I've thought about it, but I'll explain why I don't want to go out. I achieved everything that I've had training here, and I don't want to show the athletes that we can't achieve at home, So I've achieved while running here, I've achieved while training here. So I believe where I am in terms of coaching is the perfect place. And I have so much confidence in that because I've ranked the first in the world for a couple of months and I was training here. So I think, I'm a pioneer. I'm a firstborn, I must say in quotes, in sprints in Kenya. So I want to show other athletes that, yeah, we have everything it takes to get to the top of the world.
Okay, and your counterpart, Akini Simbini, he's been through a myriad of challenges and pressure as a result of being at the top of international sprinting. Do you look to him for inspiration, and have you reached out to him for some issues you may be facing?
Yeah, Kani has been a great friend, and of course, at some point he was my baba. We had a tour. We were on tour in China for around 3 weeks, and then we went again to Atlanta the same way. So along the way, we were exchanging a lot, and I learned a lot from him because he was ahead of me. And when I came into the scene, he's the guy who was pushing me to, run faster and get better because he broke the African record, and then I wanted to break it. I broke it after 2 months. Anytime we're going into a competition, it's always about African Sprint Kings. So he's been a great inspiration to me personally and on the track as well.
Yeah, and speaking